This wasn't just a rescue, it was a war fought in shadows. Deep beneath the surface of an alien station, where the air itself could kill you, and silence was more dangerous than gunfire, a team of operatives risked everything to pull 12 innocent lives from a place that was never meant to be found. But in a place built to erase its own failures, not everything wants to stay forgotten. The lights died, at exactly 14:37 Standard Orbital Time, inside the grand atrium of Yuskatal Station. Under a dome of reinforced glass and shielding, a group of human children stood between two banners, one bearing the emblem of Earth's diplomatic corps, the other the shimmering glyphs of the Sakharon Empire. Laughter echoed softly. One child pressed her fingers against the transparent wall, tracing the curve of the nearby moon, marveling at its beauty. And then, everything went black. The entire station plunged into silence. Gravity flickered. Stabilizers shut down. For 11 seconds, there was nothing but void. In the first second, conversations cut off mid-word. By the fourth, a warning cry from a teacher never reached its end. At the sixth, motion sensors froze. In the eighth, a father's hand reached out, only to grasp empty air. And by the 11th, the lights returned. Cold. Indifferent. Normal, as if nothing had happened. Except, the children were gone. Not hidden. Not teleported. Not displaced. Gone. No heat signatures. No energy traces. No physical evidence that they had ever existed in that space. The towering figures of the Sakharon delegates stood frozen. Tall, skeletal beings, their bodies wrapped in flowing metallic fabrics, bone plates reflecting the emergency lights. Their ambassador tilted his head, voice calm, almost mechanical. There appears to have been a systems anomaly. But Earth's minister, Kael'ren, cut him off instantly. No. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't failure. Where are our children? Security forces flooded in, too late. Technicians swept every corner. Scanners ran every frequency. Nothing. Not even the carbon trace of 12 exhaled breaths. Within hours, headlines exploded across Earth and its colonies. Blackout at Yuskatal Station. 12 children gone. No explanation. No trace. Fear turned into outrage. Outrage into demand. By nightfall, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The chamber trembled with unease as Minister Kael'ren stood before a circle of alien envoys. This was not an accident. This was an act. But some whispered caution. The Sakharon deny any involvement. It could be a technical cascade. Kael'ren clenched his fists. His voice shook with rage. A technical failure doesn't erase 12 children, and leave no trace. From the far end, a voice cut through the tension. It was General Thanes Lance, commander of the United Earth Defense Directorate. They took our children. And you expect us to show restraint? The council slammed the podium. Earth will stand down. There will be no military response. No retaliation. And Earth went quiet. Not politically. Not diplomatically. Primally. Satellite feeds stopped syncing. Patrol ships disappeared from tracking. No messages. No signals. No chatter. The silence wasn't surrender. It was alignment. It was the tightening of a bowstring. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, in bunkers built to survive extinction, a message arrived. A triple encrypted fragment. Routed from deep space listening posts. It had Sakharon military encryption. Morn, an Earth intelligence officer, decrypted it line by line. When the message assembled, his blood turned cold. Confirmed capture. 12 human juveniles. Current location, Sublevel 7, Ilkarv Station. Behavioral anomaly detected, high-stress adaptation, group cohesion beyond expected thresholds. Authorization granted, strategic neutralization pending. Signed. General Orvax. Scarran High Strategic Command. Director Anson Whitlock read it once, then again, and then a third time. His voice was barely a whisper. Phantom Protocol. Activate. No sirens. No public alerts. No ships left orbit. But, something old, something precise, began to move. Far below the ice shelves of Antarctica, in a chamber designed for no witnesses, 5 operators sat in silence. A schematic of Ilkarv Station hovered in the air before them, an unregistered station, hidden in the orbit of a gas giant. Their names weren't on any record. They had no ranks. No insignias. Just call signs. Bishop. Iron. Shade. Nomad. Delta. Delta's eyes scanned the mission brief. Subject count, 12. Human juvenile. His jaw tightened. A memory surfaced. A child, her head resting against his chest, whispering. Do you think the stars can hear dreams? He closed his eyes. The timer hit 0. In the void above the gas giant, 5 stealth capsules detached from a decoy transport. No lights. No signals. No trace. To passing scanners, they were nothing more than drifting scrap metal. One by one, each operator slipped into the shadows beneath Ilkarv Station. No one saw them coming. No one even imagined that anyone would dare. Inside the tunnels, it smelled of rust. Of coolant leaks. Of systems long abandoned. Nomad chuckled softly as he hacked the first motion sensor. Seriously? This junk is older than me. Bishop bypassed the power feeds. Make it look like decay. No alarms. Iron scanned the air. Old Saccharon coolant. Won't kill us fast. Give it 2 minutes, your lungs melt. They crawled through collapsed shafts, rusted beams, broken ducts. Every step, a risk. Every breath, borrowed time. Finally, they reached the main conduit. Beyond it. Sublevel 7. Target location. The children. Delta looked back at his team. His voice was low. Controlled. We're ghosts, in a house that doesn't believe in doors. And forward, into the dark, humanity moved. Because some species run. Some species hide. But humanity. Hard-coded, Iron muttered under his breath, reaching for a small duplicator from his chest rig. Old Earth tech, analog bridge. Pressure-sensitive toggles. It was primitive, completely mismatched against the Scarran's crystalline, sleek infrastructure. But sometimes, the old ways worked better. Iron set the duplicator against the relay. No response. No handshake. Going manual. Beside him, Shade was already working. He popped an external emitter node, rerouting the station's local power feed. When I lift this, Shade whispered, the sensor will think it's still getting a full stream. But, you have to hold the junction steady. Even a millimeter off, and they'll flag it. Copy. Iron adjusted the duplicator by eye, millimeter by millimeter, syncing waveforms manually. Ready, Shade nodded. Iron lifted the relay. The duplicator clicked softly, then silence. I think, Iron started. A sharp hum cut him off. A microbot turned the corner. Small. Spherical. Floating on compressed ion propulsion. Its emitter pulsed a line of violet light down the corridor. Then stopped. The beam hit Shade's shoulder. And held. No one moved. The microbot hovered, adjusting its scan. The violet glow intensified, oscillating, analyzing. Shade didn't breathe. One hand kept the hatch open. The other, frozen mid-chest. A single bead of sweat slid down the back of his neck. Cold. Slow. The microbot drifted closer, extended a probe. Its scanner passed over the duplicator, then paused. Iron didn't speak. Didn't even blink. He rotated the calibrator on the duplicator, just one notch. Just enough. The microbot's scan pulsed again, then flickered green. A brief pause, then, as if bored, it rotated lazily, and drifted away. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Only then did Shade close the hatch. Node holds, loop confirmed, Shade exhaled, his voice cracking. We good? Iron asked. Yeah, Shade nodded. You nailed it. Back in the previous sector, Bishop and Nomad reached the final sensor ring guarding the environmental grid. If we screw this, Nomad muttered, sliding a relay wedge into the conduit, it triggers a maintenance ping. And maintenance flags go straight to station command, Bishop finished grimly. And if they check the logs, Nomad locked the relay. They purged the test subjects. Bishop's voice was ice. Nomad's hands tightened. Then let's not give them a reason. He tapped his wristband. A pulse shimmered down the hallway, the lights dimmed for half a second. Just enough to mimic a microflare in the local reactor shielding. Nothing the system would flag. Just noise. Masking complete. Bishop confirmed. At the central convergence node, Delta stood in the shadows, visor dimmed, watching all feeds through the silent channel, no voices. Just telemetry. Biometrics. Spatial drift. He watched as Nomad's signal turned green. Then Iron's. Then Bishop's. All synced. Delta keyed the tactical line. 2 words. Invisible now. Behind them, the station continued breathing, calm, unaware. To Scaran command, everything looked normal. And that was the point. Bishop's scanner blinked. 9 signatures, he whispered. Human. Split across 3 containment sectors. Delta's visor outlined them. 3, beneath the neuroisolation wing. 2, flickering under stress simulations. 4, scattered in the genetic evaluation suites. No hesitation. No question. Delta pointed to Bishop. With me. Neuro wing. Then to Iron and Shade. Stress sim. And to Nomad. Bio exams. Solo. A nod from each. Then they vanished, splitting into the dark corridors like ghosts. The tunnels whispered beneath them. No alarms. No footsteps. Just the groan of old pressure plates. The deception was perfect. The Scaran command saw nothing. Delta and Bishop reached the neuroisolation chamber. A medbay door shimmered with a faint gravitic lock, nearly invisible unless you knew it was there. Delta adjusted his wrist tool. Fired a tight directional burst. The lock fizzled. Deactivated. Inside, cold light glowed. 3 capsules stood upright, each holding a child suspended mid-air. Limbs twitching. Eyes open, but staring into nothing. Fiber optic leads fed into neural ports at the base of their skulls. Their minds weren't theirs right now. They were being recorded. Dissected. Bishop knelt by the first pod. Pulse amplifiers, cortical mapping. They're recording them. Not anymore, Delta said. He pulled a magnetic disruptor. Calibrated the field. A soft hum. A faint arc of energy. The neural glow faded. The pod released. The child collapsed, but Bishop caught him before he hit the ground. Checked his pulse. Breathing. Minimal trauma. They repeated the process twice more. When the last child stirred, her lips moved soundlessly. Bishop pressed her wrist gently. "You're safe now. The lie's over." Meanwhile, Iron forced open the stress simulation lab. Inside, flickering red and orange. The walls pulsed with artificial threats. Distorted shadows. Falling shapes. Fractals of fear. 2 children. One stood, arms up, shaking, defending against nothing. The other lay curled, motionless. "Loop the feedback, close it." Iron snapped. Shade worked fast. Override codes. A neural inhibitor chip. The simulation flickered, then died. The first child collapsed. Iron caught him mid-fall. Vitals stable. Reboot in 30. The second whimpered. But Shade didn't speak. Just wrapped him in a thermal seal and lifted him gently. They didn't ask what nightmares these kids had just lived through. The walls still shimmered, claws, fire, chaos. But it didn't matter now. Nomad navigated the bio-exam block alone. This section was cleaner. Sterile. But colder. He passed 3 empty tanks, then stopped. A young girl floated in a chamber of nutrient gel, electrodes pulsing against her skin. Her body scanned. Muscles analyzed. Bones measured. She wasn't conscious. She was being read like data. Nomad studied the console. Environmental failsafes were brutal. Trip the seal, the chamber would flood, and neutralize her. Not today. He pulled a gravitic inverter. Clamped it to the vent line. Spun the polarity. The sensors drifted. Just enough to ignore the pressure change. The lock disengaged. Fluid hissed. The child dropped forward. Into Nomad's arms. She coughed once. Breathed. He wrapped her tight in a thermal shield. Stabilizer pressed to her neck. "You're okay," he whispered. "You're going home." Across the station. Silent. Invisible. Unstoppable. The ghosts of humanity were moving. And the galaxy was about to remember. Why you never steal from Earth. As they regrouped, the weight settled over them. No one spoke. No one needed to. Shade knelt silently, adjusting a seal that didn't really need adjusting. Bishop double-checked vitals that were already stable. Iron paced, once, then stopped, hands clenched. Nomad kept his eyes on the youngest girl, jaw locked, teeth grinding quietly. 9 children. Stabilized. Sedated. Breathing, but broken in ways nobody said aloud. No one asked what had been done to them. They all knew. The silence wasn't tactical anymore. It was something heavier. Delta's visor flickered. He ran another sweep, standard procedure, but something pinged. Faint. Almost nothing. But there. A low-frequency signal, deep. Below the station's mapped sectors. Sector. Unknown. The signal was degraded, flickering like a heartbeat on the edge of death. But human. Delta's eyes narrowed. A memory surfaced, from a briefing weeks ago. A glowing schematic of Ilkarvesh, and one pulsing sector in red. Sublevel 7, Director Whitlock had warned. Unmapped. Heavily shielded. If anything goes wrong down there, we can't extract you. Delta stared at the readout now. 3 faint dots. Weak, but alive. He keyed his comm. Bishop. Iron. Nomad. Shade. 3 more. N7. Nobody replied, not right away. But Shade straightened. Bishop's hand drifted to his weapon. Iron let out a slow breath through his nose. Nomad was already recalculating distances. None of them needed the order repeated. Bishop was the first to say it. "We don't leave anyone." Delta's hand closed around his rifle grip. "If they're alive, they're not alone." The service lock hissed open, and the light changed. Not dimmed, collapsed. Color bled out. The air grew colder. The hum of the station faded into something older. Deeper. Shade followed close, sealing the hatch behind them. The tunnel ahead narrowed, a ribbed pressure choke, leading straight into sublevel 7. Warning glyphs pulsed red along the walls. Symbols not just for protocol, but for danger. Delta checked his wrist timer. Purge cycle in 37 seconds. Shade was already working the valve inset in the floor. It groaned open. Next safe window, 60 seconds between bursts. 1 minute transit, or we burn. They both looked forward. The path dipped into a curved drop tunnel, steep, slick. The walls were stained, warped from chemical purges. Whatever gas flushed this tunnel wasn't just corrosive. It was alive. Delta's voice dropped. "Even mark it." They crouched. The chamber sealed behind them with a hiss. There was no backup route. No fallback. A tremor pulsed through the floor. Delta's HUD blinked. "Cycle purge. Go." They ran. The incline wasn't made for humans. Boots slipped. Grips faltered. Every 10 meters a side vent snapped open, releasing blasts of heat and radiation. At 40 seconds. Shade nearly slipped. Delta caught him, yanked him forward without missing stride. They cleared the tunnel with 12 seconds to spare. Delta threw his shoulder into the emergency seal. It slammed shut, just as the corridor behind them exploded with high-pressure discharge. The roar hit the sealed hatch like a freight train. Shade doubled over, breathing hard. "We're good." But Delta wasn't looking at him. He was staring at the chamber ahead. It wasn't a lab. Not really. It was a shrine. The walls were obsidian alloy, pulsing, alive, mapped with veins of energy like circuitry buried in flesh. At the center, suspended by 4 gravitic pillars, hovered a neurometric core. Thick cabling hung down like tendrils. And beneath it, 3 children. Floating. Their bodies were thin. Malnourished. No sedation. Just absence. Neural spines fed directly into the base of their necks. Their eyes twitched behind closed lids. Shade stepped forward, then froze. These connections are direct. Real-time feedback. If we cut power wrong, they die. Delta moved to the base of the core, scanning. No OS. No prompts. Just alien patterns. "Manual fragmentation protocol," he muttered. Pulled a data rod. Jammed it in. Shade's voice was tense. "You sure this holds?" "No." The data rod glowed. A ripple passed through the core, then nothing. Silence. Then, flicker. Lights dimmed. Another pulse, deeper. The floor shuddered. Not violently, but heavy. A weight in their bones. The neurometric hum stuttered. "Delta," Shade warned. "I see it." The core pulsed again, louder, chaotic. The AI wasn't shutting down. It was unraveling. "We've got a window. Small one. I localize the collapse, we cut from the base. Do not touch the spinal ports until I say. Copy." Shade opened his gauntlet, activated neural dampeners. Thin threads laced with suppression filaments. One hand behind the first child's neck, waiting. Delta watched the core, its pulse, its chaotic code collapse. A tremor hit. Then, silence. The hum died. Lights shifted from red to white. Now. Shade moved fast, detached the first. No convulsion. No twitch. Alive. Second, same. Delta took the third. Each one limp, but breathing. Fast. No time for ceremony. Sealed. Wrapped. Cocooned. Delta's jaw was steel. He didn't say it aloud, but whatever controlled this place didn't shut down. It gave up. And that's worse. Nomad, confirm status. All 9 prepped. Launch in under 5. Delta glanced once at the dark chamber behind him. At what had been done here. His grip tightened on the cocoon. Opening return corridor. Ready for evac. They moved fast. But the station wasn't quiet anymore. The walls flickered. Symbols shifted, from warning to absence. As if the system had erased its own failure. Delta stared at the shifting glyph. Then stepped into the dark. Not to descend, but to carry someone back. From a place no one was meant to survive. But, somewhere, buried in the fractured code of Ilkarvesh, something twitched. An isolated node registered the anomaly. Background radiation anomaly. A countdown began. Quiet. Hidden. 180 seconds. Delta didn't stop. The corridor behind them buzzed, panels waking up. Pressure seals twitching. Shade, push forward. Don't wait. Not a chance, Shade grunted. One falls, both drag. Delta adjusted the cocoon in his arms. The little girl's eyelids fluttered. Almost there, he whispered. At the main shaft, Nomad was waiting. Rear routes sealed. You're late, system woke early. No time. Open vent tunnel east. Iron cleared it. They bolted. Up ahead, Iron worked furiously at the launch bay terminal. Seal sinking. Bishop was already loading the first child into a capsule. Trajectory lock in 5. Nomad passed his cocoon forward. Shade loaded the next. His hands trembled, not from fear, but the crushing need to get this right. You're safe now, he whispered. Time to rest. Capsule 1, launch. Thud. Gone. Capsule 2, launch. Thud. Gone. 3, go. Thud. Nomad knelt briefly beside the youngest girl. Hand against her shell. You made it. They didn't break you. 4, launch. Thud. Delta turned to Shade. Get to the lockout gate. Not leaving until you're on that rail. No argument. Only nods. 5, go. Thud. Iron caught a hitch in one boy's vitals. Bishop adjusted the stabilizer. Fixed. 6, launch. Thud. 7, thud. Delta secured the last capsule himself. The weight hit heavier now. He could barely breathe. 8, go. Thud. The sirens started. Late. 9, thud. The last capsule vanished into the orbital debris, invisible. Undetectable. They ran. Alarms screamed behind them, systems waking up too late to stop what had already ended. In the upper junction, Shade smashed the override. Iron and Nomad hauled the hatch open. Delta stepped through last. The lock sealed behind him just as the floor trembled, and then, silence. Outside, drifting in the orbital shadow of Ilkarvesh, 12 capsules tumbled silently through space. No signal. No heat. No detection. Safe. Inside their extraction capsule, the team sat, shoulder to shoulder. No words. No celebration. Just, breathing. Bishop exhaled. Shade leaned back, head tipped. Nomad wiped the grime from his gloves. Iron closed his eyes for the first time since this mission began. Delta sat still. 12 cocoons surrounded them. Silent. Breathing. Alive. We got them, Delta whispered. Shade nodded slowly. All of them. Far behind them. Ilkarvesh drifted. A tomb without a beacon. No signal. No survivors. No threat left to warn.